Hello, I'm Dr. Jo Cravatta, and today we're going to speak about the Ayurvedic times of day. So, we know that Ayurveda has the three doshas: Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. Vata, ether and air. Pitta, mostly fire with a little bit of water, and Kapha, water and earth. We can categorize everything, according to how much it has of those three doshas. And that includes times of day. So it's very fascinating about the times of day and how they relate to these three doshas and how they affect our lives. So let us start with kapha time of day. Kapha time of day is from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. So each time is 4 hours. 6 to 10, 4 hours. Each time is 4 hours. Now we also will put kapha time 12 hours later. So 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. is also kapha time. They mean different things. So kapha time during the day, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. Kapha, water and earth, slow, heavy, stable, steady. That kapha time of day, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m., most people wake up approximately near the beginning time of kapha time of day. So, or ideally we would wake up close to that beginning of kapha time of day. And so what happens is that we're sleeping, the sun is starting to rise. That is when kapha starts, as the sun is rising. Now, it may change slightly from season to season, but we just generalize it and say 6 a.m. That begins at 6 a.m. Now, ideally, we want to wake up even slightly before kapha time of day begins, because the previous time is vata time, ends at sunrise or 6 a.m. approximately. And if we wake up too much into kapha time, because kapha is slow, if we wake up too much into kapha time, we're going to bring that kapha heaviness and slowness into our day. So a lot of people, many people at times, will stay up too late. And when they stay up too late, well, now they wake up later. So instead of being able to wake up around sunrise, one may wake up further into that kapha time, 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. Maybe some people even sleep until later. I'm not quite sure. But the more we get into kapha time and you're waking up, the harder it will be for you to wake up and be energetic and ready for your day. I think a lot of people need caffeine, and particularly coffee, because they need to get going. They need to jumpstart themselves because they woke up in kapha time. That you just have this tendency to not think as clearly, or to be a little groggy, a little drowsy, because waking up in that kapha time. Now, kapha, water and earth, I find it very fascinating. Very fascinating. Those of you who've ever lived near an ocean and have seen surfers prefer kapha time. They may not know they prefer kapha time, but they prefer kapha time of day. They either like to surf early in the morning or right before sunset, that later afternoon. And why? Because there are more waves. And the waves are made of water. And that water is kapha. So I find it fascinating that all of nature knows that these times are happening, that these particular doshic times of day really have an effect on us. Next, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. is Pitta time of day. What is Pitta? Mostly fire, a little bit of water, but mostly fire. Pitta is hot and sharp, acidic, it's slightly oily, it's light. And Pitta, we think of, so right in the middle of that Pitta time of day, the sun is at its highest. That is when there's more fire and Pitta in the environment. And it's one of the reasons that Ayurveda says we will digest our food the easiest in Pitta time during the day. The sun is at its highest. We have our greatest tendency to have digestive fire. And ideally, our main meal would be at lunch. The main amount of food, the main protein level, the main fat level, the main calories, because you will digest your food better because you have more digestive fire, because it's Pitta time. Pitta people need to be a little careful about what they do in Pitta time. Like ideally, it's not the time, especially like 11 to 1, is not the time to go out and go play tennis in the sun or to go running in the sun. Because that fire that's in the environment will increase the person's fire and they may get a little bit more easily irritated if they're doing something like that in the middle part of the day. Ideally, we have lunch in the middle part of the day and you totally enjoy it. No, you don't want to eat so much as you're feeling overfull. I made a video just recently about ways to help you to lose weight, Ayurvedic tips, simple tips for weight loss. And in there I talked about the hunger scale. And the hunger scale, 0 to 10, it tells you when the ideal time is to eat and when to stop eating. So it's very important that you know when to stop eating. Because otherwise, what will happen if you eat too much in Pitta time, instead of feeling wonderful and energetic and really satisfied and a nice blood sugar for the rest of the day, you very well will feel sluggish because you're aggravated, your cough if you eat too much. So you might want to watch that video where I talk about those simple tips for weight loss, because I talk about the hunger scale in that video. Next, we have Vata time of day. Vata time of day, 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. What is Vata? Vata, ether with its expansion or contraction, and air, movement. So what will happen is you'll see that it tends to be a little more windy during Vata time. It can be windy any time of day, but many times it's going to be fairly windy during more wind during Vata time. That's when the windsurfers want to go out and windsurf, right? We have the surfers go in Kapha time. We have the windsurfers want to go in Vata time. What happens in Vata time is we can still definitely get work done, right? We have more power and drive and enthusiasm in Pitta time. We can still have lots of energy in Vata time, particularly if you had a nice lunch. Vata time, though, as we get more into Vata time, let's say by 3 p.m., 4 p.m., by 5 p.m., people are starting to not feel that same amount of strength that they had. We think of that Kapha morning time and we can be have lots of energy and feel very powerful in our day. Ideally, this is the ideal time to exercise, would be in Kapha time in the morning, to get going, to get your whole metabolism going, but also because you have the most strength during the day. So think of it as Coffee in the morning, ideally, is to get you going for the day, set you up for the day. It's the best time to exercise or go walking or whatever it is you might want to do some yoga, do some weightlifting, whatever it is you want to do exercise wise. Pick a time of day. Ideally, you're going to have your main meal of the day, Vata time. Vata time, we don't want to overly exert ourselves because our energy, especially as you get 3:30, 4 o'clock, 4:30, 5 o'clock, again, depends on the season of the year and when your sun sets, but that you won't have that same strength. It's not the time to go running. I know a lot of people do, but it's not the time to go to the gym. You just won't have the same strength. Also, it's not the time to be thinking, right? If you have some important decisions to make, obviously we need to think all the time, but if you have some important decisions to make or some important projects you're working on at work or wherever, that ideally not do them after we really get into Vata time. That getting close to the end of Vata time is ideal to sit and have a cup of tea, to do some yoga, some nice simple yoga, not strenuous yoga, and do some meditation, some chanting, some prayers. That is nice. And then if you honor that Vata time of day, then as you go into the evening, you will feel so much better. You'll have your energy back again. And ideally, when you have your dinner is going to be lighter than lunch, but that having your dinner really no later than 7 p.m. because we are going to redo those Vata, Pitta, Kapha times a day. Kapha time at night, 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. You don't want to eat too late into Kapha time. You won't have the digestive fire and you will feel much more sluggish during the evening. If you eat too much in Kapha time or too late. The Kapha time of the evening, the whole purpose of it is to have you unwind from your day so that you can fall asleep easily. So as you get further into Kapha time, make sure that your lights are not as bright, you're not doing anything strenuous, that you're preparing to go to sleep. Ayurveda says bedtime by 10 p.m. You want to be in bed before Pitta time begins, ideally, especially people with mostly a lot of Pitta in their body types or people who have a Pitta imbalance, because 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. is Pitta time at night. And the later you go to bed, the more time it will take you to fall asleep, or the less restful your sleep will be. Ideally, especially anyone who has any problems sleeping, that they go to bed before 10. Some people need to go to bed by 9 or 9:30 before you get that Pitta train, right? That power, that drive, that in Pitta time. But Pitta time at night helps you to cleanse your liver. Vata time, 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. Ideally, we're sound asleep. What happens a lot of times if people wake up, maybe they fall asleep fine, they wake up and it's 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. when they wake up, it's because there's a Vata disturbance in their mind. And now when Vata comes into the environment, it has you wake up because it makes more mental activity. Ideally, you've calmed your Vata before you go to bed because you honored Kapha time at night, you didn't eat too late at night, and you did not stay up well past 10, so that when that Vata time comes, it's easier for you to stay asleep. And then ideally, we wake up close to the time of the end of Vata time. So we wake up around sunrise. And what happens is you will feel better throughout the whole entire day. And you have better movement in the day. You have a better bowel movement. Ideally, one wakes up and shortly after waking, one has a bowel movement. You wake up too late in a kapha time, it might slow down your bowel movement. So, to feel your best during each and every day, doesn't matter if it's weekend or during the week, ideally, we would follow these times of day, and then we have all the support of nature behind us because we are honoring and respecting those shifts in energy that naturally happen throughout the day. Namaste.